Am I recording here? All right, there we go. So we're going to talk a little bit about grammar, and what I'm going to do is show you 3 ideas for presenting grammar on Zoom. Three different techniques that can be used, and the 3 techniques are as follows. One will be using a Microsoft Word document. Secondly, we'll be using PowerPoint, and third, we'll be using the whiteboard function on Zoom itself. That I think that if we're thinking about the most effective way to present grammar, these 3 options are the best. So what I'll do is just briefly show you each option, and then we'll have some time at the end if there are any questions or comments. So first, let's start with the PowerPoint option. So I'll go ahead and share my screen here, share this PowerPoint. And here is an example of how PowerPoint can be used to present grammar and still kind of preserving the techniques of elicitation and active student participation. So we can start with a slide that just displays a picture. Then we have sentences that will prompt responses from students. So if I say, you see these 2 people, they, and I elicit the correct verb, and then with a click, then reveal that answer. Then, as I'm building the student's thinking here, then I would elicit the past tense there. This would be grammar that the student already knows. They'd be able to give me this answer. Then I'd set them up with a timeline, so they could see the reality of the situation. And then I would get to my target grammar here. They may or may not be able to produce this since it's a target grammar, but that's okay. I would, just like in a normal grammar presentation, attempt to elicit it, and then hopefully arrive at that correct answer, have been. Importantly, if you're using this PowerPoint approach, it's important to have prepared the questions that you're going to ask to try to elicit this information. And to then check student understanding, you could add something like that. Then you could have a screen like this to review some of the rules here. This PowerPoint presentation I'm showing is one that Katie actually used recently as part of a grammar refresher to review the main differences between present perfect and present perfect continuous. Another similar type example, elicit that. They say I love you every day. Then going through clicking forward to elicit this information, and then showing them an example of something that's impossible to say. And so again, the purpose of this progression would be to elicit this difference there, that for present perfect continuous, we can use it with action verbs only. For present perfect, we can use it for action or non-action verbs. So obviously, I don't need to go through all of the present perfect and present perfect continuous, as you know that. But the point here is to show how PowerPoint slides can be designed to teach grammar. So if we kind of pull the curtain back and look at how this slide was created, it starts with a picture here, and this picture was added using the insert option in the top left, and then picture. And so what this was a picture simply downloaded from the internet and then inserted into the PowerPoint slide using the insert function. If you'll remember, when I clicked through the slide, initially it was just a blank screen with a picture. And then with each mouse click, the sequence of the slide was revealed, kind of one step at a time. How that is achieved is through the use of text boxes and animation. So if we look at how this slide is designed, they blank married is one text box, and are is a separate text box. Then again, they blank married in 1970 is one text box, and got is a separate text box. So if you want your PowerPoint slides to reveal just one piece of information at a time, those need to be in separate text boxes. To insert text boxes, again, use the insert function at the top left, and towards the right, there's an option to insert a text box. Now you can draw the size of the text box, and you can edit the font. You can change the color of the font, make it bigger, manipulate the text in any way you want in this text box. To draw this timeline, again, the insert function was used. And what I did here was use the insert shape. And in the insert shape menu, there are a number of potentially useful shapes. And so here the shapes that were used were an arrow, and you'll notice the default is this kind of thin orange arrow that's not very visible, but no worries, it's easily changed to manipulate how a shape appears. After you've inserted the shape, then you can go to the top of the screen where it says Shape Format, and there are options to manipulate what the shape looks like. So for example, I can turn this line, I'll turn it blue. I can increase the weight to make it quite thick, and I can even make it look like this. And again, to change what a shape looks like, that's simply done by clicking the shape and going to the shape format menu. So for those grammar topics that might need some timelines, that's an effective way to do that. And finally, in order to achieve this effect of having one piece of information appear at a time, that's done through the use of PowerPoint animations. So to access animations, you go to the top of the screen on PowerPoint to the Animations tab, and if you'll notice when I clicked on animations, if you have animations set up, there are these little numbers that appear. And what these numbers tell you is the order of animation. Another place to see that is clicking on this animation pane. And when I click on that, it shows you the order of animations. And so this can be a quick way to change the order that you want things appearing in. So hypothetically, if I wanted to move R to the first thing, I can just click and move that up and switch those two. All right. So in terms of, and how to set up an animation. So if I make a new text box, do insert. Actually, I'll go on a new slide just for a little bit of clarity here. All right, so I've got a new slide and I want to insert a text box. This is a text box, and for fun, let's insert a shape. Let's say I want to insert a triangle. So I've got a text box and a shape. Right now, I have no animation set up. So if I show the slide, it will just have those two things that I've inserted. However, if I want to have them appear one at a time, I can click on the text box, go to the animation slide, and click this first option here, Appear. And when you click Appear, you notice this one appears beside the text box. So that's my first animation. Then I can click on the second one I want, and again, just click the green star Appear. So there you have 1 and 2. And now, assuming that there is justice in the universe, when I show this slide, it should be blank, and then one click of the mouse gives me the text box, and the second click gives me the triangle there. So in terms of presenting grammar, the pluses of using PowerPoint is that you have a lot of control over the sentences that you're showing. It can be pretty efficient in terms of time because you already have the sentences typed and prepared, and so you don't have to spend a lot of class time typing up the sentences. The downside potentially comes in terms of flexibility, because if you have these animations kind of preset, then it's more difficult to change those in the course of the lesson. And so you have to think very carefully about the progression of questions you use, and how to clearly get from A to B, as it were. All right. Any questions there on PowerPoint before I move on to using a Word document?
May I ask you to share the PowerPoint later?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll test our group chat function here. And
see it there.
Let's see. So yeah, I will send the file in the group chat, and it should appear. Do you see it there?
No.
Great. There you go.
No, I don't.
Oh, you don't?
Yeah.
Let me.
I have an issue with the file sharing. Okay.
All right. Let me upload it to Yandex Disk then very quickly. 1 second. All right. Next then. So let me paste that link for you. Do you see that link, Patrick?
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, you should be able to download it there. All right, next, I want to show you something I did using Microsoft Word to present grammar. And so yeah, let me share that now. So here, the goal was reviewing countable and uncountable nouns, and reviewing the use of determiners with different types of nouns. And so what I did was made a Word document that looked like this. The idea here was, you all see this Word document, by the way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, good, thanks. The idea here was the Word document wouldn't be complete. Instead, it would be just kind of the outline, and it would set me up to be able to elicit and kind of give this presentation with the students helping me create this chart. And so where I wanted this presentation of information to end up was with this completed chart that shows the students which of these determiners at the bottom we can use with these different types of nouns. So when I went through this presentation, I first started with a reminder about what these different nouns were. So I elicited some examples of a singular countable noun. So for example, a tree. That auto capitalization annoys me. A tree, and then maybe an elephant. Then a couple examples of plural countable nouns, and again eliciting this from the student. Then trees, chairs, and then eliciting some examples of uncountable nouns. And we'll go with the classic, time and money. Then once everyone was on the same page with the singular, plural, countable, and uncountable, then I took these determiners that I had listed and asked the students which type of noun they could be used with. And this was pretty efficient because I could simply highlight these determiners and then put them where the students said they would go. So you can use this stat with singular countables and uncountable nouns. And then I just simply go to the next one. I would elicit some examples and fill in this table using Microsoft Word, kind of with the students. So in essence, this is really just a simulation of a board that you would use in class. The only difference is it's a bit quicker because using the copy and paste function, you're able to kind of quickly and cleanly fill out this table. Another advantage here is after completing this chart with the students, you can then save the document and send it to the students through Zoom, so that students will have a kind of perfect record of the presentation that was given. In Microsoft Word, one of the most useful tools when presenting grammar will probably be these tables. And to create a table, again, just like in PowerPoint, you can go to the insert option, and then there's an option to insert a table. And so this table here was simply a 2 by 3 table. And then using the table design tools, you can make it bigger or smaller as you want. So that was an example of how Microsoft Word could be used to present grammar. All right. Any questions on that? All right. And I think the third option.
Yeah, I have a question. Actually,
yeah, please, Patrick.
In general, when you share a file or a PowerPoint or a document, is there a way to block students from making annotations?
There is, yeah. When I share a file, at the top of the screen, you have the control bar where you have the options to manage participants, to annotate, and all of that. To the right of that control bar, there's a More button. And in that More list, there's an option to disable participants annotation. Yeah. Okay. So it is possible.
And what about I have sometimes an issue with the students asking me to get control of my computer or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I tell them not to, but they keep on doing it.
So in the remote control option, does it not give you the option to refuse?
Yeah, but I mean, it keeps popping up, some students, maybe even just one, but he's like, the troublemaker of the group, and he keeps asking me like.
I don't know off the top of my head. I suspect in the Zoom settings, like on the website, there's an option there to disable remote control.
Okay.
Remote control sharing. Yeah. Actually, in the platform now, all I can do is turn off or on auto accepting remote control requests. But I can't actually disable your ability to ask for control.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
But I'm almost sure there's an option in the Zoom settings. All right. Any questions for me before I move on? All right. And the last one I'll mention here is the whiteboard actually on the Zoom platform itself. So I'll go ahead and share our whiteboard here. The pluses of the whiteboard are that you have total freedom, you have a lot of space to work with, and it's a really a perfect simulation of the board that you would have in the classroom. The downside is it can be a little bit more time consuming actually in the lesson to write up the example sentences that you want and present those in a clear way. However, it can be done. And actually, with one of my students, I recently did some presentation of linking words like but, however, and although. And I used the whiteboard in the following way. I started with a sentence, and so I wanted to give the students these sentences to think about. I studied hard for the exam, and I didn't pass. And then I'll extend this box here so that that's all on one line. So here I gave the students those two sentences, and then we were going to think about how to join them together. So then the next part, then I challenged the student to help me finish this thought here. And so what word was I attempting to elicit here?
What?
Exactly, yeah. So we had that idea. Then I created another text box. Then gave the students a sentence like this and attempted to elicit which word?
However.
Indeed. And then gave them this third sentence.
Although.
And yeah, was fishing for although there. And actually I had one more. And so here are the sentences that I wanted to work with. Then of course I wanted to illustrate the function as well. And then to do that, you notice I left a little bit of space below these examples. And then I indented the text box a little bit and used the format function to change the color. And then with the students, elicited the uses of these words. And again, a lot of times you have to extend these text boxes to make the text look neat. Also on the whiteboard, there are some drawing functions that you can use to focus students' attention on the keywords that you're focusing on, which are pretty useful. Another thing that actually embarrassingly I just became aware of a little more than a week ago you can add pages to the whiteboard.
Да, Оль?
Like at the bottom right of
Да,
the
да,
white,
я слушаю семинар просто.
at the bottom right of the whiteboard screen, there's a small gray button that you can use to add pages.
Через сколько?
So you can use this small button on the bottom right to add pages to the whiteboard. So if you run out of,
Ладно, вы мне позвоните, потому что
Only
я
when you
сейчас
have
у меня
when you are
связь
host,
сейчас
you
включена.
can see this
hold
button.
on, I can't hear you, let me mute.
Pardon.
Sorry, one more time?
You can see this button when you are host.
That's right, yeah.
Mhm.
So there's that in the small, it's in the bottom right, it's a small gray button. And you can use
Bottom
that
right.
to add as many pages as you want in the bottom right.
Thanks.
Another good thing about the whiteboard is the content stays there. So even if I stop sharing, do something else, if I share the whiteboard again, that content stays there. So you don't need to be afraid about what you've written on the whiteboard disappearing if you stop sharing. And I actually, in a way, I kind of prefer the whiteboard to PowerPoint because it more closely simulates the experience in a classroom of having that that kind of dynamic ability to add and take away and focus on information, depending on what the students are saying and kind of how they're getting the information. All right, so those were the three core techniques I wanted to demonstrate. Now we've got some time. If you have any questions that you'd like me to speak to.
Well, I have a question about control again.
Mhm.
In the board, is there a way to choose which student has the ability to annotate?
Let's see. If I believe I can just.
I know that I can maybe block. No, maybe I can't even block. Yeah, let's try.
Yeah, I can only disable annotation for everyone.
This is me, for example.
Right.
Can you block me?
I can only block everyone.
Everyone, yeah.
Yeah, but I can't block just you.
With teenagers, you know, they I mean, it would be nice to put a gap and challenge them to fill it in,
Mhm.
but then they start drawing on the board.
There is the option to use the erase tool.
Yeah. I have to erase everything as they write it. I have to erase it.
Clean all lesson.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, unfortunately, there's not an option to selectively disable annotation. Yeah, one thing that I have done is have them use the group chat to type in answers if the annotation on the whiteboard gets a little too out of control.
Mhm.
I'll have them respond in the group chat.
But even there, they can. I mean, for example, I have a troublemaker usually writes hi and constantly, so you don't even see what somebody may write because it just goes. I mean, he writes hi continuously, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there I would, depending on how out of control it is.
You know something? I noticed you can actually put them on hold. You can put somebody on hold, so it means he disappears for some time until you get him back. That's really useful. So I mean, if you actually want to punish somebody that is completely out of control, you can do that as the last option.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say that the kind of steps I would take there would be first, like ignoring it to whatever extent it's possible and not disruptive of the lesson. You know, establishing that this is inappropriate and you shouldn't do it, and if it persists being a problem, then informing your administrator and having them contact the parents and letting them know that he's being disruptive in the lesson, because all we can do from our seats as the host is point out, I mean, just like in a normal classroom lesson, point out that this behavior is inappropriate, attempt to discipline them, but.
Well, there's actually this option to put them on hold.
Mm-hmm.
So they disappear for a period. They're alone in a separate room. Actually, that's worked with this guy.
Do you mean like to put them in the waiting room?
Something like that. I don't know how I did it, but
we have separate rooms, and he sent only one person to that hall, and others were online. As I got the idea.
Ага.
I sent Patrick to the waiting room.
yeah.
So I put you in timeout there. Yeah. So there, how I did that was I right-clicked on your video and clicked put in waiting room.
Yeah.
I would say that only in the most extreme circumstances would I use that.
For this guy,
Yeah.
he was carrying, it was completely out of control.
Yeah. The mute function as well, the mute all function. If you have students who are talking over each other a lot, not being quiet when they need to, on the participants tab, that mute all function is pretty useful.
But can they unmute themselves?
You can choose. When you click mute all, there's an option to say whether or not you want to allow them to unmute themselves.
And can you choose in a way like, I mean, can you choose to mute permanently only one?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, that's on the Manage Participants tab. Yeah.
But only, I mean, to mute him so that he can't unmute himself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Any other questions? All right. Well, I will give you, for those of you who don't have it, my email, jjohnson@languagelink.ru. If you do have any questions that come up, please send me an email, and I'll be happy to answer you as best I can. I know that depending on the type of grammar you're presenting, different approaches might have different kind of a different level of effectiveness. So if you're approaching a specific topic, a specific age group or whatever, and you're having trouble thinking about the best way to get that information across, I'll be happy to brainstorm some ideas with you. All right. Well, if there are no questions, we'll wrap up then our brief grammar workshop. Thanks for your participation and your questions. I hope you found some information useful.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot.
All right.
Yeah, thank you very
Take
much.
care. Wash your hands, guys. Stay safe. All right. Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Нет, не можно, потому что мы сейчас